Right. Good evening, Randomania 3. We are here with yet another exciting installment of the Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament, and this is kicking off a night of action. Isn't that right, Len?
Oh, this is some big action right here, and I know both these racers personally. This is some crazy race that's going to go on tonight.
Well, it's already going to have a Forced Thief, so you know it's going to be fun. Our restreamer Shy Legia rolled this seed, and really who knows what's going to happen. He is hoping for crappy magic until we hit Crescent Lake, which I'm pretty sure makes him possibly the devil. I'm not 100% sure.
The real devil is if it's a bridge seed and some key item gets pushed to a random chest somewhere. Those are the kinds of seeds that are really rough.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So it's looking like LordoftheSynth decided to go with Red Mage and a Black Mage on top of his Fighter and Thief, while SolarysDrix is opting for the White Mage, Black Mage full coverage.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards the White Mage. I feel like it gives you more flexibility having the White Mage and the Black Mage, but there's other things that the Red Mage gives you too, so I understand both setups.
Yeah, I tend to favor taking a Red Mage and a White Mage along with a Fighter and a Thief when I play, but I'm also not very good at this game, so who knows. But we are off.
To see what this magic is right now.
Let's see, I'm seeing Quad X and Temper, and Soft.
Not much for white magic, but that's pretty standard. Quad X is great now, Temper's great later.
Absolutely. I'd argue that Quad X is good most of the game. We're not going to probably be seeing Cat Claw strats tonight. That is a max price Cat Claw in the weapon shop.
X in the first spell slot really means you'll have a lot of casts of it over the game, and you can just kind of cast it out all over the place as kind of a big test to see how many hit points everybody has, and often it'll tell you where you can grind.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also just good, especially in the early game, for clearing out some of the more dangerous encounters.
Synth is still messing around in town. It looks like Solaris is finally finishing a battle. We'll see what their plans are going in to face Garland, but this isn't the best spell list in the world.
Well, the thing is with Quad X in hand, Garland does not last very long. I think with the flags that we have...
Garland.
Yeah. I mean, it's just with the flags that we have, Garland's not going to be able to do too terribly much in the face of Quad X, but yeah, the rest of the temple could pose some difficulties, but worst case scenario, you kill Garland, you collect your princess, you come back when you actually have some spells.
That's not a bad idea. Some players just go straight for Garland and don't bother checking the chests. I have to check those chests. I just feel like there's going to be something good there.
Well, if these two are aware that I'm on commentary, they might at least check the bottom left chest. Two different matches I've talked over so far have featured the Mosvian in that lower left-hand chest. But tonight, it is just 57 bucks.
that ain't a Masamune. Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, this is definitely a Temple of Fiends where you could have just said, I'm just going to kill Garland and leave.
His Thief Dand here, especially in this battle, I bet his Thief bites the... Yep, there it goes. And I'm guessing he wanted that.
Yeah, I mean, it also is entirely possible that he just left the Thief down. They did not have a lot of money left over for things like Pures. I didn't actually even see if either of them checked the item shop.
Oh, and loot. So we're going to go around to Elfland the long way.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get to take the high road to Provoca, sometimes you take the low road.
More often than not, that's the low road.
Yeah, and it is looking like Solaris just didn't have the resources to fix his thief up.
Cheap houses there.
Yeah, but with that poverty Temple of Fiends, they really can't take advantage of it yet.
It'd be a rough road getting all the way to Elfland.
Yeah, I think... I would assume... Well, not necessarily. That is a nice run out of there. I don't know how deep into the encounter table it is, but it's good to know that runs relatively shallow. But...
in a house in the Dwarf Cave, and that's exactly what you want to find. And these wolves ambush him before he can get to the peninsula.
Yeah. Doesn't look like they have anything too bad aside from numbers. But yeah, I guess out of that, whatchamacallit, Dwarf Cave, if you can't get money, save items are probably just as good, if not a little bit better.
Spoke there, he did not cross a peninsula, he crossed an isthmus.
Yeah, you're right. I have not taken geography in a good long time, so the distinction is not fresh on my mind.
Something I remember from the 6th grade, and I had this awful 6th grade teacher, but I do remember that particular fact.
I was of the opinion that if you have time to worry about the difference between an isthmus and a peninsula, you have too much time on your hands.
In a randomized version of a game that we played as children, so obviously we do have too much time on our hands.
Quiet, you. And the Grey Imps have Toxic.
Damage, this is the auto kill. That'll turn you to stone, and one that kills you. I want to say there's more than one toxic.
Well, yeah, you're thinking of poison. Although there might be more than one version of toxic, I admit I'm not up to snuff on my enemy skills. But our tracker for the evening, Rainbow Poogle, is calling that there was a level 3 Brack in there while we were discussing the distinction between different kinds of ways the game can kill you very quickly.
Yeah, and early on, if any creature has pretty much any kind of ability, it makes it extraordinarily dangerous.
Fortunately, it looks like the wolves are mostly just bitey. Meanwhile, ogres are packing Blaze, speaking of abilities you don't want to see early on. Ice 2, that was dark in the level 3 black magic shop, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing, but it's pretty slim pickings right now for black magic. This is where you might want to just swing all the way over to Provoca and see what's there. Obviously, you want to get your canoe item first, but if that's not the floater, you know, hightail it on up to Provoca and see what those level 2 spells are.
Point of order, dark is not necessarily better than nothing. I'm just saying.
I slightly disagree. The only time I would take dark is if I wanted warp and I didn't want warp in the first slot. That's kind of the only time I'd take dark.
Okay, that is a fair point.
Because I do not want warp in the first spot. That is a rookie mistake right there. And I made that mistake a couple times, and now I don't make that mistake no more.
Yeah, alright. That you have made a legitimate argument to take dark.
Any crap spell instead of putting warp or exit on the first row, and if you can, put it all the way on the third row. That'll also make it less likely for you to cast it accidentally.
Yeah, very true. So
Wipe for synth.
Continuing to grind. I would assume that Solarys is grinding up to get the money to pick up Ice 3. Not Ice 3, Ice 2. But that AoE ice spell that we saw.
spell will be key for him making it through the rivers to come that'll have some nasty enemies on him.
Yeah, and you know, we still have a few more spells at our disposal.
Synth has to cross the bridge. A third time. He wiped a third time, and now he's reading the text a third time.
Life 2 and I think Harm 4 for level 3 white magic. Unfortunately, I think both of those are in white mage spots, so that's going to work to Solaris' favor.
Trying to make it to Elfland yet again. He's been murdered by ogres every time. Let's see, he's fighting harmless arachnids, but there are some ogres out there, and they're nasty.
Yeah, the only advantage these runners have is the Quad X access. And Synth, in theory, can take out whole groups of ogres unless they ambush him. And then immediately blaze. That makes it a bit harder to Quad X them.
Out of his way. He didn't make an exact beeline to Elfland, so he was taking a few extra steps, and I think it cost him there.
No, you know what they say, fourth time's the charm. In the meantime, SolarysDrix has a relatively easy trip down the river and is just going to immediately go find out what the Circle of Sages have in store. And it is the floater, so...
And that'll make this a little easier, a little quicker, but it also really opens things up early, and this allows, you know, the guy out ahead to really screw things up and let the other guy catch up. And right now, Synth kind of needs that. He's really stuck here. I wonder if he remembers that he has those items from the Dwarf Cave and that he should save on the other side of the bridge of text, so if should he wipe again, you know, he won't have to see this again.
Now, hopefully he does, and SolarysDrix remembering his floater and picking up his airship.
Don't you even be talking about forgetting no floater. I don't want to hear none of that.
I had to sit through you forgetting that thing for 20 minutes. You will sit there and listen. Ooh, level 2 fast, and lit 2 there, so... Definitely, Provoca has what you're looking for.
Like Provoca often is like kind of game breaker because those level 2s are available to almost everybody in all the slots, so it's a great spot for spells.
Yeah, Synth doesn't know it yet, but he is hoping that the level 2 white magic shop has the life spell in it. Otherwise, he might have a hard road ahead of him.
Safe pirates. I, for one, am a little disappointed that these pirates can't whip out nasty things, but I understand it makes the game a little easier.
I mean, it just means that the race can actually be a race instead of 30 minutes of watching someone bang their head into a wall. But
Sounds a little salty there.
I mean, I've never had to deal with unsafe pirates because I'm not a masochist, but the you know, it is one of those things where in the last tournament we had that problem come up a good bit. Heal 3 and Wall and A-Rub all available for level 2 white magic. A-Rub definitely... Go ahead.
Yeah, this has turned out not to be such a bad spell list now that we see what's here in Provoca.
Yeah, A-Rub, one of those spells that, you know, if I have room for it, you know, it isn't on a level with a lot of other spells I like to have in my back pocket. And Solaris is immediately going to go cash in this crown, which, with Quad X in his pocket, that makes a lot of sense.
Cash this in, get all those chests, and that makes everything else you do a little easier. There's no reason not to right now. Seeing, some cheap gold bracelets there in Elfland. Only 6,000. That's a great price for gold bracelets.
And considering how light armor heavy this party is, that is definitely something both runners are going to want.
I always write that kind of stuff down. Some runners do, some runners don't, but there's nothing like being at the end of the game. You got extra cash, you want to buy a pro ring or a gold bracelet or something. And what town was it in? Is it in this town? Oh no. Is it in this town? Oh no. Is it in this town? And, meanwhile, everybody watching is laughing their butts off.
Yeah. It looked like level 4 black magic was a little skinny, but we did see exit and cure 4 at level 4 white magic.
See what the prince has got out in his garage back here. I like to keep my lawnmower in my garage, but maybe this guy will have something a little more useful to our runners here in his garage. Let's see.
If you see the Vorpal sword back here, then is that really any different?
Got yourself a Vorpal sword. You're going to keep that in the garage. You don't want your kids playing with that Vorpal sword. You gotta lock that up. You got to be safe, responsible Vorpal sword ownership.
Yeah. And it is very handy if you have some long grass that needs to be critted. So I'd say at this point, Solaris is definitely opting for the 3-man party and just leaving that thief Dan.
Do it. It can be a really good way to get levels faster. But I always feel like your margin for error is so much smaller with a 3-man party. Your likelihood to run is more, is significantly impacted, especially with the thief down. So I tend to feel like with these flags, you're just better off running 4 guys normally. But some guys are great at the 3-man party.
Yeah, I personally, like I said, I'm more of a casual player, but I do enjoy me some thief strats. Not the least of which because I get to name my thief after my fiancée, and it makes me happy. I'm a very simple man.
Alright, so if I get stuck with a thief, then I'm going to use him the whole game, and I'm not going to Dan him.
Yeah, it's one of those things that ability to run is very useful, but you know what else is useful? That sun sword.
That thief is just a great meat shield. You can put him in front of your party. You give him the white shirt. You give him all sorts of things that he can do. He'll make himself useful, especially in these flags where getting the tail is always pretty simple. Once you get the tail and you trade it in, the ninja becomes pretty darn useful.
Yeah, and that's the thing is especially with some of the black magic spells available, that ninja's at least going to be able to, speed up your buff strategies. Because I believe both Temper and Fast we've seen already, which means both of them are ninja castable, and since they're at different levels, that's enough to take some pressure off of your black mage.
We found a white shirt and a flames shield. This is some good equipment.
Yeah, again, that's one of those, once you have that ninja available, you slap the opal on your fighter or your knight, you slap the flame shield on your ninja, you got a decent amount of defense up front.
And the problem is, Synth is falling farther and farther behind. I know why he's doing what he's doing. He wants to make sure he has enough tents and cabins and levels to make it to Crescent safely. And because he had such a lousy time getting to Elfland, I think he's being conservative here. But right now, that lead is kind of growing exponentially if he's not careful.
Well, that's true, but at the same time, the conservative play can benefit him if it turns out there's something just around the bend that's going to stymie Solaris because of him going a little bit faster.
Where's he going? He changed his mind. He's flying back across the desert. Now he's going the other way. He don't know where in the fuck he's going. Now he's going up, and now he's going on. Now he looks like he's going to the islands. All right. Finally, that's a good decision.
Yeah, it looks like he was trying to decide between going to Cardia or hitting Ordeals first. Which, Ordeals, not the worst play.
tail, and it's nice to route in the islands as one just swoop with the tail in hand. And since he doesn't have it, there's something to be said about looking for the tail before you start trading in the islands. But that means going places, and I like getting all these chests before you go places. So, it's a tough decision.
Well, that Thor's hammer at least has to make him feel a little bit better about the choice he made. And
Mage, the white mage loves to see it.
Unrunnable worms. That is a situation.
Quad X these things down.
No, that's not. That option's off the table.
Yeah, this is a scarier fight than I thought.
Well, it's again, this is kind of the problem with going fast is sometimes you wind up, a little bit over your head. But he manages to get through it with his fighter and white mage and picks up a couple of really useful levels. And it's one of those things. If you got to have two party members alive, I feel like the fighter and the white mage are the two you want to, be getting all that experience.
And this feels like bad encounter management. He's saved it on this island. He should by now know where there are some gaps and where he can maybe reset. There, he finally reset out the battle. Yeah, that's... on these islands, you really shouldn't be taking any encounters. And by now, you should know at least enough about the beginning of the encounter table to easily dodge them.
Yeah, it may be that he was trying to scout out because, you're going to see those catmen again. So having an idea of what they can do doesn't hurt.
But they're gonna kill you at that level, generally.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, he did hover around over the desert enough to where I think he is at least contemplating that ordeals play. So kind of knowing what to expect there in advance can give him some idea of how long he might need to wait before he does that.
Checking the caravan. And nothing.
Yeah, I do not believe we've seen that vendor item yet, so that's not a bad check to just do in passing. You're already in the neighborhood.
Item's got to be in one of the last two towns, so it's either here or it's over down in Onrak.
And who wants to go to Onrak? I mean, really.
Christ, and they're in. You got to walk way out the way to get to that inn, and I just want to kill me some squid, and then you got to walk all the way over there for that inn. Man, Onrak, I would burn that city to the ground if I could.
I mean, that place is a whole. But,
well, it's better than Mermond. Mermond is like the Detroit of the Final Fantasy Randomizer. That is a terrible city.
At least Detroit has hospitals.
Oh, goodness.
I'm just going to point that out. But yeah, it looks like our vendor item is in Onrak, and since Shy rolled the seed, I'm just going to assume it's the bottle and move on with my life. Synth has finally picked up his airship, though, and he is setting in on clearing out a lot of the spots we've already seen through SolarysDrix's eyes. Although I would point out that we have not seen what Sarda has in store, nor what is behind the Titan. That whole Melmond area has kind of just been ignored by Solaris so far.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. I like to grab that item as soon as possible. Yeah, make sure you talk to... Okay, yeah, he almost missed the crown. That would have been classic.
Alright, yeah, that's what I thought. Bane and Zap, the only spells that you might care about in level 4 black magic. So, these first 4 levels, I mean, you have Life 2 available if you have a white mage. You have Fast and Temper available, but outside of that, I mean, you're mostly working with level 2 damage magic.
Yeah, it's a bit rough, but late game, they're pretty well set between Life 2, between temper and fast. It's not a bad list, but the middle game might be really rough without better AoE.
Yeah, we haven't seen level 5, and I think both of our runners didn't even peek in the level 6 shop, so we may yet find some decent magic, although I think Solaris is about to correct that oversight. Oh! Rod was in Crescent Lake. Neither runner actually went in the item shop until now.
And it's easy to look at Rod and miss it. It's a little shorter, yeah. I wouldn't have even noticed it if you hadn't said something.
Well, yeah, Solaris just made a beeline for the Sages and then went straight to pick up his airship. Sarda, meanwhile, having the bottle. So that's at least going to make Lord of the Synth's checks a little bit quicker. Meanwhile, we do have unrunnable Peds on the agenda, so... You know, they don't have anything nasty. Go ahead.
I can think of worse enemies to be unrunnable, you know. At least these are yummy, juicy, nom nom nom, you know, good experience.
Yeah, as long as they haven't rolled anything too bad, although Stun Touch seems to be it, but they don't seem to be that bulky in terms of HP, so... Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. And Mosmune is in the Titan's Tunnel.
And that's something that gets skipped a lot. We'll see if Solaris actually gets that.
Yeah. Other than that, you know, a little bit of money and a short sword, but Mosmune is well worth the trouble.
Question for you: do you know who each of these guys played in the previous rounds of the tourney so far? Do you have that information available?
I can pull it up if you want. I think it's been a long tourney.
Well, because I know I raced Lord of the Synth in, I think, the second round. So, like, I was just wondering who else he had during the tournament.
Well, they're kind of moving over familiar territory. Let's see. Lord of the Synth had Silverfire in the first round. Our Restreamer actually faced off against Lord of the Synth in round 3. And our Tracker faced off against Lord of the Synth in round 4. That's kind of amazing. I'm glad you had me look that up.
At intuition, see, I always can smell when things are interesting. For Drix?
Let's see. Among other things, Drix has faced off against Dark Horse favorite Fuzzy Mage. Other than that, let's see. He had a match against High Spirits, a match against Brilliant and Insane, and a match up with... I've suddenly lost his name. Oh, DD Gamings was his opponent last round, so... You know, not a bad combination of opponents there. But yeah, while I was looking all that up, we find anything interesting in the armory?
Armor is the only real great thing so far. A lot of mediocre crap.
Yeah. It's one of those things that'll at least be to Synth's favorite when he gets there, because again, with that thief intent, with him planning to keep that thief upright, that's going to be good hand-me-down gear for his ninja.
About that, because the ninja will be able to wear that armor, so that's really great armor to wear.
Yeah. We do find a mage staff and a Zeus gauntlet in the back half of that armory check, so... Again, with the kind of poverty of AoE damage we've been seeing so far, not bad pickups for this group.
I think those 2 AoE items are actually pretty big long-term to be valuable, you know, especially for clearing out Sea Shrine and other tough places.
Yeah. So we're definitely looking in a good position. That Mage Staff actually is going to come in handy for Earth Cave, so overall not bad. And I do think these Stun Touch Beads are going to be a pain in the butt.
These Stun Touch Peds, they remind you of packs of undead that you run into in the vanilla game.
Yeah, I mean, at least there can only be 4 of them, and Solaris does have that Life 2 spell pack, and so, you know, that makes dealing with them a bit less painful.
Crashes his airship into the river. You know, he's trying to do that, what was that guy's name? Sully, who landed the plane on the river. He's trying to reenact that, but it didn't work. Look,
it is a boat. Yes, it has helicopter blades on it, but it is still a boat. It works in Final Fantasy V. I see nothing wrong with trying it.
But he's destroying the habitat of that there river. You know, there's all sorts of fish and hydras and other natural resources that he's crushing, you know, just driving his boat all around. You know, these city slickers, they just come to my river and they just want to kill all the wildlife, and that's for me.
Look. The delicate balance of an estuary is something that needs to be protected. I agree with that. However, I would also point out that the delicate balance of this particular estuary is full of hatred and wrath.
Yeah, them hydras aren't the most friendly thing that you can run across on that there river. I can tell you that.
Like, as someone who lives in a locale that actually probably has a very similar biome to the area around Northwest Castle and the Marsh Cave, you know, I understand the delicate balance of nature around there.
Florida?
The Gulf Coast.
Okay, all right, but you're still one of those places where when you go north, it gets more southern.
Yep. What, the accent?
Everybody I know from Florida said that. It's just mostly a Florida thing that I know, where people say, yeah, the farther north you go, the more southern it gets, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, that's absolutely true in Florida. Yeah, it doesn't look like we saw anything too exciting out of the volcano, although Solaris is making the interesting choice to revive that thief. I wonder if he's found enough equipment at this point to go, you know what, I can have that ninja as a viable second character. And with the spells I've got, like, I definitely want a second guy swinging a sword who's good at it.
Body, it's another meat shield. You might as well get him some levels now, especially when you're going to start going places that give you a lot of experience. And you do like 3 fights and that thief will be up to, you know, 10, 12, 13. It's pretty easy. Solaris actually checked the Temple of Fiends lock chests?
No, he didn't. So this is untouched territory that Synth is in. Our tracker, meanwhile, keeping up with what enemies are packing. I believe she's seeing glare out of the Grey Worms and squint out of the fires. So 2 fights you're not keen on taking.
Well, squint isn't all that dangerous once you have pro rings. I believe pro rings defend against squint. You know, chat, tell me if I'm wrong.
Now, the Bane Sword's at least something that our runners are very likely to enjoy seeing. And there is Adamant in the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, that'll be worth it, and he's right near the place to trade it in. So, nah, he doesn't want it. He reset out of the fight.
Well, he's already got that Mosmune in hand. Now, again, I personally am inclined to go, you know what? Excalibur's good enough on my knight. Let's put that Mosmune in a ninja's hot little hands and just go to town on some enemies. Maybe swap it out for the fight with Chaos, but other than that, just, I could deal 400 damage around, or I could deal 600 damage between two dudes.
You're definitely better to, until the boss fights at least, to spread your weapons out like that. I agree completely.
Solaris checking out the Agama, not trying to quad X them.
Screaming
and
for
just gets... What was that?
Those Agamas were screaming for the quad X.
Yeah, I mean, and that Agama looked like it did not have a lot of HP. Probably close to 300, but still a little bit under it.
Saving his level 1 quad X's, those juicy Agamas are great experience, so just gobble, 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 quick.
Yeah, that Agma had less than 250 HP on it. That is quad X territory right there.
And two.
Yeah. But Solaris opting to just go ahead and clean these enemies out and move on with his day. He's already level 15 with most of his party, so it's understandable.
He probably can't be too much of a trouble, but you get a stun touch carry or a couple of other variants, she could be really rough.
Yeah, but we're going to find out here in a second what kind of a carry we're looking at.
A reporter to HR, she's wearing a bikini to work. That is not appropriate office attire.
I mean, she also works in a volcano. Like, I imagine the air conditioning is not too good down here.
Boss, they can't install air conditioning in her office? Man, if anybody deserves air conditioning, it's the boss.
Well, I mean, the first issue is the fact that air conditioning has probably not been invented yet in this pseudo-medieval Milo.
Some kind of magical air conditioning. That'd be better air conditioning anyway.
Well, the Black Mage just showed what the magical air conditioning looks like. And all it does is cause her pain. And in spite of what our restreamer is blessing RNG in chat for, it does not appear we have a Death Touch carry tonight.
But she does appear beefy.
She does appear beefy, but in the meantime, Synth, taking advantage of those cheap gold bracelets, is going to go ahead and gear up all the party members he has who are not thieves. Oh, no, wait, no, he's going to go back in to get his thief a gold bracelet as well.
Finished off Carrie, but not before she really whooped up on his thief for a good 360 damage. That was pretty brutal.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things I don't think Solaris is too broken up about that, seeing as, he's leaving that thief's body out front and continuing on his way.
His favorite ice cave.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Synth is going to make his trip to the volcano. We did see dragon armor down there, so... it's one of those things... I'm wondering if Synth is thinking about just not bothering with class change, if he can get away with it. Since he already has that Mosmute in hand. Finding that dragon armor might make him change his mind, though.
Yeah, unless you know exactly where the tail is and you're skipping the tail to save time, you kind of assume that you're going to find the tail as you're clearing things out. So I just think it's generally better to plan on class changing. I just don't think it saves you much time not to, unless you know you can skip the tail someplace.
Well, we'll see. He may also just be thinking about, well, I'll just come back and grab that adamant later now that I know where it is, once I actually have that class change, because otherwise that's just taking up room.
Something has stun touch here. I don't know if it's the wraiths or the images.
My money's on the wraiths. It's always the wraiths.
Just because that way you get them in Earth Cave too.
Well, I'm just saying, if I've learned anything over the course of this tournament, it's that the Wraiths are always going to get something that sucks and just make Ice Cave unbearable.
A little bit of gold. That doesn't help too much. Let's see what this other one. Dragon Sword. Nothing to write home about.
I mean, if you got a thief upright, you can put it in his hands. He's at least gonna contribute.
Most of the other swords that a thief can use. So yeah, that's not a bad thief sword. But we really want to find a katana. There's always 2 of them floating around the game, and the thief really starts to contribute. We put that in his hand after class change.
Yeah, but it's one of those things before class change. The best you can really hope for with a thief is like a rune sword or a dragon sword. So it's not a bad thing to find if you're using your thief and can't class change yet.
I think the best sword the thief can use is the coral sword, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's a toss-up between the coral and the rune. Like, I may be misremembering there, but I want to say the rune sword is generally something that's useful to your thief.
Or special swords the thief can use.
I was going to say, I don't think Solaris has actually remembered to pick up Pures yet.
Yeah.
He may just be trying to waiting until that fighter gets low and then hitting him with Cure 4. Because that will fix the poison status.
That's true. You can also cast Cure 4 in the battle on the guy, and it'll cure the poison status too.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure it cures poison outside of battle. I'm sure someone in chat will know the answer to that, but I definitely know you want to cast it in battle.
I'm pretty sure the Cure 4 doesn't cure it.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm thinking is he's probably waiting for the fighter to get to a pretty weak point and then dropping that Cure 4 on him.
Might not
Meanwhile,
be that complicated.
Synth is continuing to clean out the top floor of Armory. Or the top floor of the Armory. So at this point, Solaris is basically about a dungeon or 2 ahead.
It feels like a little more than that, but it's tough to compare at this point because we've got such different routes, and it looks to me like Lord of the Synth has more experience overall, especially considering the fact that he's got 4 guys. So it's tough to say. We'll know a lot more as they get closer to getting all 4 orbs lit.
Yeah, but at this point, to catch up, Synth is going to have to finish off Carrie and then hit the Ice Cave up, or at least get a comparable dungeon up.
Which meant this was kind of an optional dungeon.
And yeah, chat pointing out that I went down like a sack of wet paper, so you know, we may see some grind strats used by Synth down the line.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, that eye spot used to be a really great grind spot when we used to play with slightly different flags. With the way these flags are, if you want to grind, I really feel like Sky Castle or the Sea Shrine, or at the end of the game TOFR, that those locations are actually much better for you than trying to do an Eye or an Agama grind the way we kind of used to back in the Black Belt meta situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's still one of those things, like, I think it depends on what your level situation's looking like. Lord of the Synth is currently sitting at level 11, and Solaris is finally picking up his Moz Immune about, what, 30 minutes later than Lord of the Synth did. 20 minutes.
That's all right. He'll be happy to have that.
Yeah, and with that tail in hand and some of the gear he's found, I'll be surprised if he doesn't go ahead and get that class change out of the way.
The parking lot of Provoca.
Again, they are in a boat. That is a dock. Docks are where boats live.
A Walmart parking lot situation. Now I've been out of America for a long time. You'll have to tell me, do people still park their RVs in Walmart parking lots?
It depends on the Walmart's policy. Some Walmarts forbid that, others allow it.
Well, I remember. I haven't seen a Walmart in a long time. I miss that shop.
I personally am quite pleased that we have some alternatives where I live now. But Solaris is on his way to go ahead and get his ferry and his Oxy Ale. At this point, our runners are still out a slab and a cube. So I assume that Solaris is going to go ahead and make a play on Sea Shrine after this.
Yeah, we know the last two are slab and cube, so it really doesn't matter when he does ordeals or does the waterfall. We know what's going to be there.
And it looks like he's decided to do ordeals first. Which I guess makes sense. You're in the neighborhood already. You know you have to do it.
He sets out of the battle, and he's not doing ordeals because it's just too hard to get there.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the advantage of going ahead and at least seeing what those Catmen have in store. Because you're going to see them in and around ordeals, and you're going to see them in Mirage. So, knowing what they're packing is at least, helpful.
Saria sighting. I know the Agama facts. The Saria is the Agama's older brother, and he only lives in a few places, and you don't see him a lot.
Yeah, but when you do, it's always exciting, and Solaris is going to go ahead and cash in that class change.
Advantages to the class change, specifically your knight being able to cast spells, and in this case also your ninja being able to cast spells. So you generally want to do it as soon as you can, so you'll have as many spells saved up by the end of the game as possible.
And it looks like Solaris is fully committed now to the... Oh, no, wait, no, he is sticking the gold bracelet. All right.
He's got a good setup, but they still have no ribbons, and that feels like one of these problems that, you start going into Temple of Fiends with no ribbons, and Lich One whips out you like a crack or Bane or something ridiculous, and just wipes the whole party.
Yeah. No ribbons is one of those situations where, having that A-rub at a relatively low level is not something you're going to scoff at, because, A-rub gives you defense against, I believe, Death, Time, and Earth Elemental spells.
Not sure. I think it's 2 out of the 3. Again, chat, help us out. But definitely some of those. But Wall is definitely your best bet if you can get that.
Yeah, I mean, the advantage of A-Rub is one cast and you've got that coverage on your party. Whereas Wall, you need setup time for.
You drop the wall on whoever doesn't have the ribbon, but in this case it'd be the whole party.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, a lot of the spells that you really want that ribbon for in TOFR, A-Rub will at least give you defense against.
Dieting, another ability that it seems like we never see very often.
Yeah, but those 3-man strats are coming in handy for Solaris. Having those pretty decent levels already makes it a lot easier to weather the attacks of these enemies.
And Castle Ordeals sometimes is really fast and easy, and sometimes can be a brutal slog. I don't think he has warp. I think he's got exit, but no warp. So this is, you know, every time he makes a mistake, he's got to retrace his steps.
Yeah, but finding that way to the 4-pillar room is... Ooh, unrunnable mancats. But, you know, that 4-pillar room can sometimes be a red herring, because, you know, that's 4 pillars you have to check before you realize whether or not that actually leads anywhere.
These mancats, they're kind of beefy. They've got great magic defense, but other than poison touch, they aren't dangerous at all.
And before mancats got shuffled the nuke.
Mancats are going to give him a parting gift of 3 guys that are poisoned. I hope he actually bought some Pures.
I'm sure he has to have at this point, as many times as not having Pures. Yeah, there we go. He bought 10.
Now he's down to 6, so it's possible that he could run out of Pures, but he should be fine with all his other spells and things.
Yeah, unless Pures get shuffled just a ridiculous price, I am generally of the opinion that just, you go ahead, you take the money, you put them into Pures, because you're going to need them. It's like softs. Like, as soon as you can afford to stock up, you go ahead and stock up, because you don't want to be caught without those.
Yeah, and usually you can buy 20 Pures, and that'll do you for the whole game. You know, maybe 30 if you're more conservative.
Yeah, this pillar maze is proving an issue, but Solaris finally finds his way through. It does look like it was a trip to the farthest pillar in the 4-pillar room, so always annoying.
Yeah, it's weird. There are times where ordeals can actually take you longer than Ice Cave, and this might be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of comes down to how the order of the pillars got shuffled around. Oh, hey, look, a Sparkover bridge.
And let's see if he fights the dragons or casts exit.
He'll probably just take the dragon fight just to see if they have anything rude, since you are going to see those again in Temple of Fiends, potentially.
Because of that, that's why I would never take this fight here and now. Because if they have something rude and it wipes you, you just lost a boatload of time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you probably will survive whatever they have, and this way, if they do have something that you're not going to want to see right at the top of your Temple of Fiends dive, you kind of know it's coming. But it looks like...
friendlier.
Go ahead.
It seems like it's always friendlier these days now that it's rarely runnable in Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, but it's still one of those things, like, you can get into some nasty encounters getting through the Temple of Fiends.
Get into lots of bad encounters in Temple of Fiends, man. That's just all full of all kinds of stuff you don't want to see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see nothing in there.
I'm just saying, like, especially once you get to the elemental floors, you know, you can run to some stuff that individually isn't a threat. It's just the aggregate of fighting, you know, 4 of those battles between Lich and Carry that suddenly make your life a pain.
Comes down to kind of resource management as you go down. You know, are you stocked up, and do you waste spells now? How do you know? It's part of the real strategy there, and it's interesting to see how various top players play it, because you'll see strategies between, say, like Edgeworth when he's diving down there, or let's say Tristal. You know, you'll see very different strategies about resource management. So it's kind of interesting.
But speaking of Carry, Synth finally takes her out and has lit his first orb.
And the loot? What's in Waterfall?
Cube's the only thing outstanding, so vanilla cube. Now, one thing that both of these runners are going to have to contend with is remembering to take that slab back to Melmond. Both of them, I believe, have already made their kind of expedition through Melmond, seeing what's in the stores there, and then moving on. So, you know, there is that factor of finding the slab late can very easily lead to a Lupa kind of situation.
No one wants to see the Lupa, but you can see it sometimes if you forget to translate that.
Okay, Lit 3 and Nuke waiting at level 6 Black Magic.
Couple of casts by the end of the game, maybe 3 or 4 on a Black Mage.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you prefer to see Nuke lower, but 6 is kind of the last level where you're going to get enough casts for it to matter.
Help with the last fiends that they're facing. Just to have 1 or 2 nukes on a fiend really makes a big difference. Often it can kill them in the first round.
Meanwhile, it looks like Synth is going to follow Solaris's trail somewhat. At least go ahead and do ice after Volcano.
Solaris wiped. Solaris has wiped twice now in Waterfall, and as somebody who has wiped a lot in Waterfall, I can tell you that's really frustrating because it's not that deep.
Yeah. Did you see what's getting him?
Goals.
Ah. So in this sort of a situation, is your plan with these flags to just, you know, keep resetting and not bothering with the power cycle in the hopes of getting to a part of the encounter table where you're not seeing that problem fight?
It really depends on a lot of things. You know, so you can control a little bit, but especially with the way things are shuffled now, it's pretty hard to predict, you know, until you see what's there. So sometimes playing around with resets, and it's going to cost you more time than just trying to make it through a tough fight where you have to get the right turn order or something like that. So you definitely don't want to just keep on doing exactly the same turn order. So I think if you wipe, maybe you just don't reset, or you do a power cycle and reset a couple times. You know, you do something to change it up, but it's diminishing returns pretty quickly instead of just pressing your luck and trying it again with the same thing.
Wizmummy showing stun touch. That's going to make the Mirage Tower interesting.
Rest of those chests.
Other than the cube, those chests not really having a whole lot. So we are still looking for that ribbon, looking for that power bonk too. It's a little less important with the way that Fast and Temper shook out in the seed, but it's still something I think at least Solaris is going to want to have. Lord of the Synth has a little more leeway, having 3 potential black magic casters.
And it's out of the way. I hate walking all the way to that end. Oh, man. I'd be thinking about mermaids. You don't have any ribbons. Mermaids feels like it's the right way to go.
Well, Solaris seems to be disagreeing. You know, I don't necessarily know if I dislike this move. He's only got 3 party members to worry about. He's got 2 characters who can throw walls up as needed. That is a Blizzard Grey Naga, though.
Don't run into too many of those. That's the only floor where you can run into them.
Yeah. But it is one of those things where I think, you know, Solaris may just be thinking, I've got enough defensive firepower, I've got plenty of Life 2 charges. If I have to tackle Temple of Fiends without a ribbon, this is the situation I want it to be in.
Well, let's see if the Wiz Sahags have anything awful, or the R Sahags.
Just the terrible power to waste your time.
They are the biggest time sinks in this whole place. Sharknado.
Oh hey, Katana! So that is definitely going to be good news for Synth, who is going to have a ninja with some levels on him.
But I think Solaris didn't pick up the katana. I think he didn't have room for it, but I might be mistaken.
Now, he didn't have room for it, and he didn't care to make room. That thief is basically just there to get punched in the face once by thieves by fiends in the end game.
Feels so wasteful.
Well, it's one of those things, you know, with that pretty free Mosmune and that relatively free Dragon Armor, you know, you're fine taking, you know, just a 3-man party in that fighter. You just have to, you know, your big concern there is if you get 3 and 256 by something.
Oh, that's not too likely to happen, and that can happen regardless of your setup. The real gambit is, you know, is the flexibility of 4 guys worth the time bonus for the higher levels for the 3 guys? And, you know, often it ends up kind of being a wash. So we'll see who plays it better. And definitely doing the 3-man strats through Temple of Fiends is more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it is really just that factor of the whole, you only have, you have that 1 point of failure. If something happens to that character that you're putting all of your offensive firepower into, especially the way Magic's played out in this seed, and did Synth forget that he has Exit? Can Synth cast Exit?
I'm not sure. He may not be able to. Was it level 5?
I think it was level 4? Well, regardless, he doesn't have too much difficulty getting out of the ice cave. He may also just want the opportunity to pick up a couple of extra fights if he got one that was pretty worthwhile. But he is taking that tail straight to the Dragon King.
And here comes the meat shield, and the meat shield's going in the front row, and we'll see if Kraken gets slap happy with the meat shield, or if he ignores the meat shield and goes right for the white mage.
Always gotta go for the white mage. That's how Kraken works.
Dirty. He ain't a nice guy at all. Damage. 2 hits will kill him.
Yeah, I mean, oh, sorry, I'm just trying to get my stream caught up.
No, now Synth is going back and getting level 1 spell. Well, I thought he was getting level 1 spells. Now he's shopping. Not sure for what. All right, here comes level 1.
He's probably just trying to see if there's anything good he can strap onto his ninja.
Buy an iron armor, and that's not too bad. Or maybe the steel armor.
Steel armor just feels like a waste on the ninja.
It's too expensive, you know. It's like wearing an Armani suit. You know, you don't want to get that thing dirty because it's so pricey.
Well, it's like wearing an Armani suit if you couldn't dodge in it. Like, that massive evade penalty on steel armor is just the worst. Solaris, though, does remember to go back and visit the good doctor, so we will not be seeing any Lupa on his side.
This sounds like you're rooting for the Lupa just a little bit.
Oh, I'm totally rooting for the Lupa. I'm not one of the runners.
No, I never wish that on any runner.
Well, see, that's why I'm the real monster.
I have too much empathy. I've been on the receiving end just too many times. Don't know if I've ever done the Loompa thing.
It'll happen someday. I believe in you.
I can get so locked into a race that I search every chest looking for a floater that I got in my back pocket.
Charlesia in chat pointing out that the real monster is rooting for a Death Touch Chaos.
It's been a long time since I've seen a Death Touch Chaos, but just any kind of a fat Death Touch Chaos can really be rough. But he can be beaten, but it's pretty rough.
You know, all I'm taking away from this is that the real monster is the friends we made along the way.
Along the way, I don't get. Is this a reference to something that I don't understand?
You've never heard the whole "the real treasure was the friends we made along the way" shtick?
Oh.
Don't worry about it. In any case, Solaris is almost to the vampire, that terrifying force of darkness who raised Melmond and turned it into the crap hole it is. You know, can he endure the horrors that this undead menace brings about? Never mind, he's already dead.
Oh, the undead menace. It's just never as scary when you play the randomizer as he is in the vanilla game.
I'm not entirely sure he's scary in the vanilla game either.
When you have a party of 4 thieves.
Okay, yes, but in a party of 4 thieves, a Girl Scout troop is kind of intimidating.
I would kill to see a Girl Scout troop. I haven't had Girl Scout cookies in like 7 years, and I would kill a man for a Girl Scout cookie right about now.
No comment.
Like Girl Scout cookies? Because I bet you do. Man, if a Girl Scout knocks on my door, she is leaving with all of my money. That's just the way it goes.
Oh, yeah, no, it's one of those things, sign me up for those thin mints. I'm also just, you know, not going to encourage your cookie-based homicide.
Oh man, and not to mention the diabetic coma that I'm going to be in after eating 4 boxes of them.
Yep, that post Girl Scout cookie sugar crash is something else. So anyway, speaking of undead menaces that are going to be dead inside the end of this sentence, we're at Lich now, and this should not take very long because this is Lich 1, one of the only bosses more pathetic than Lich 2. And I'm trying to drag the sentence out so I'm not made a liar, and I'm not sure how much longer I can keep talking. For the love of God, Solarys, hurry up and kill this stupid thing so I can stop talking. There we go.
That was a beefy Lich. He had like 500 hit points.
Poor Lich. He gets no respect.
Solaris is still out to a pretty strong lead, even though he's kind of messing around a bit now. Finally figures out where he's got to go. And I kind of reflexively, when I land in this area, just check to see that I don't have the slab still in my inventory. It's not a bad idea to have that habit.
Synth is going to check a few of these chests on the way down, though. I don't think Solarys checked these 3 at least.
Gold, 200 gold. Man, those were some good chests. Totally worth the trouble.
Hey, that's like almost 2 houses. Maybe. I don't actually remember how much houses cost in the seed.
That was like 1 house. I think they're about 400, but he ran away from the Tyro. It was a juicy, delicious-looking Tyro, and he ran. What a coward.
Oh, he's already done that once on his way back from Ordeals. I believe Solarys is firmly in the Team Tyro camp.
And that's like nature's goodness right there. You eat yourself a Tyro, you get big and strong, you beat yourself some chaos. You know, that's how it's done. You know, that Tyro, that is nature's gift to you. That's nature's steak.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just feel like letting the dice gods decide if that Tyro lives or dies. Hashtag Team Coin Flip.
How exactly do you do a coin flip in this game to make that decision?
You figure out which 2 of your party members have the highest chance of one rounding a Tyro. You attack with them, the other 2 run.
That's not a bad strat.
Yeah, and if the Tyro lives, it's because it was meant to live. And if it dies, it's because that Tyro did something wrong. And that is its judgment. So, Lord of the Synth looks like he is doing some ribbon digging, whereas Solarys did pass up the easy check of floor 1 here in Mirage. Now, that is something we do occasionally see runners do, is kind of skip over floor 1 Mirage. The chests, you know, they're accessible, but they're a bit spread out, so it can be a little time-consuming if you have an unfriendly encounter table to kind of hit those. Did Lord of the Synth actually check that chest that was behind the earth, or did he just kill the earth and leave?
I think he just killed the earth and leave. Maybe I missed it. Sometimes it blinks out. Please let us know, chat. But I believe he did not check it, and which I've done before too. So,
well, that means that chest had your ribbon or your defense sword. Like that's how this game works.
Extra pure right there. Yeah, he's gonna need that.
We did see a little bit of poison down here, I think, so.
Cockatrices.
Yeah, Solarys not taking any chances, just dropping a fast onto his knight to make sure that blue dragon dies. And he is going to continue beelining through the Sky Castle.
Solaris is doing here. Just jump out as far ahead as you can. One's here, he's got 4.
Yeah, with that wall available to both his knight and his white mage, I'm guessing Solaris is just thinking, I don't need no stinking ribbon.
Now, but yeah. Temple of Fiends just has a way of finding what you're missing and exploiting it.
Oh, you mean like how Wiz vampires have glare?
He survived, but that guy don't know life. I'm pretty sure the BM does not know life.
And Solaris has to reset. So Poogle is probably feeling vindicated right now. Shout out to our tracker.
I got to admit, I'm always kind of rooting for whoever's behind, and I like to see that a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lord of the Synth's digging not really paying too many dividends yet. But considering he's been checking all these chests in Earth, we may still see a mermaid's dive from him. And if those mermaids are safeguarding something like the ribbon, you know, that's not going to necessarily help with glare. No, glare is time elemental, isn't it?
Ribbon will help with glare. Yes.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, if Lord of the Synth goes digging and finds a ribbon, say, at mermaids, then SolarysDrix may be in some trouble, because, you know, those Wiz vampires, you might bump into them a few more times trying to get to Tiamat 1. And you're very likely to run into them around Tiamat 2.
Around Tiamat 2 is loaded with those things, and if you can get a big old group of them, and they can really, you aren't going to have a nice day if you meet them.
Yeah, Dazzle on that Black Mage is not something you necessarily want to see either. You know, if you're going without your Thief, and you're trying to run from stuff, that Black Mage is your next best shot to actually get away from something.
There's a point where even the White Mage passes the Black Mage in levels, although I'm not sure where that point is.
Probably higher than our runners are going to see. That is interesting if that is the case.
The Black Mage starts out as one of the better runners, basically behind only the Thief, but by the time they're all high level, he's actually the worst.
Now, speaking of that Black Mage, that is a black shirt. Oh, and that is a power gauntlet.
Oh, power bonk showing its ugly face. Now that is really critical, and and a ribbon. Holy cow, he has everything he needs.
Power bonk and ribbon on that knight plus the Mosbian. Yeah, he is set for the end game.
He wiped. Wiping made him check these chests that he skipped otherwise.
Meanwhile, Lord of the Synth is heading into Castle Ordeals, and we already know this pillar maze is going to be a bit of a pain, simply because the last pillar he's probably apt to check is the one he needs to go through.
And here's what killed Solaris in the waterfall cave.
Yeah, Lord of the Synth, I'm not sure if he remembers that he does not need to bother with that chest.
Links to a chest on the other floor that isn't guarded.
Exactly. Yeah, our tracker, Poogle, making an excellent point in chat. SolarysDrix did not exit out to save his gains from the greater than less than room. And that could wind up proving annoying.
Yeah, if he wipes, he'll have to get all that stuff again. And if I have exit there in a house, I think just better to exit out, save it, and then go back in.
Yeah, I'm apt to agree, especially with something like the power bunk and the ribbon, because you're going back for that. Like, that's not even a question. You turn around, you go back for that item.
The only kind of items that is absolutely true with would be like a ribbon or the power bonk, and that's what we're dealing with.
Like, even LordoftheSynth, who, as I pointed out earlier, has a good bit more flexibility when it comes to buffing strats. And was that Stone Touch, or was that a Stone Attack? That was Lance. Okay. And here goes the glares. So the bad news is, because of where that life spell fell, Solaris does not have the ability to revive that white mage. So this could very easily turn to a hero run on that night. Now, he is sitting at in-game levels with in-game equipment, so this isn't too risky unless a war mech appears out of nowhere.
Ooh, speak of the devil, and he runs.
Yeah, I mean, considering war mech took off half his knight's health in one punch, that is not a fight you want to take, especially when you cannot bring your characters back.
We got 3 quick fights so far, 4 quick fights. We could see another war mech or 2.
Yeah, we could see some Blizzard action, too. This Bridge of Destiny is very quickly turning into a Bridge of Terror.
Good experience, but usually you want to hightail it through here. There he is.
Well, there
He's chasing him. The war mech fight, but I guess in this position I wouldn't either.
Just to address the observation in chat, I believe the Bridge of Destiny is the highest possible encounter rate in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you are taking fights on the bridge unless you are just the luckiest son of a gun.
I think the bridge is the highest, or it might be tied with the highest with the Tiamat floor in TOFR. But yeah, it's significantly spiked from virtually everything else.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Yeah, you're going to be taking fight. Did LordoftheSynth just not go to the far pillar in the 4-pillar room?
Far pillar, and then made a couple bad decisions after, and he keeps forgetting which one he's already picked, and now he's going to go for the 3rd time through there. So now let's see if he remembers. Okay, like I remember from watching. Shit. Okay, so now you got to go to the last one. Let's see if he... No, he's confused himself, and he can't remember which one he's been to, because he went to the last one, but twice. So
yeah, that is the... Go ahead.
The last pillar, you know, one more choice of 2, and he's done it twice, and he does enough to forget.
Yeah, I mean, that is the hazard of the pillar shuffle, is it's very easy to get yourself turned around. Meanwhile, though, I would point out SolarysDrix is at sitting at 4 lit orbs, so we should be seeing a Temple of Fiends dive here in a minute.
And around he goes. No, no, you already been there. Don't go there, man. No, no, you've already been in this room. No, that ain't the right one, and you know it. Okay, now go to the last one. Oh man, this is rough.
Yeah, but again, this is where that warp spell is a blessing. Also taking notes. Both of those things are very important. Solaris very intelligently arranging his inventory so that he has ready access to those heal spells. Or not heal spells, heal potions. But regardless, at about the 1 hour, 23 minute, 30 second mark, SolarysDrix is beginning his first trip into TOFR.
And that's a really great time. If you're entering TOFR at 120, that's really great. Oh man, Lord of the Synth keeps going in all the wrong ones.
I'm wondering if he just forgot that last pillar's even there.
Threw it twice, and then on the one after it, he picked the wrong direction. He went down when he should have gone up. Oh, you done that. Okay, now go to the last one. Go around the last one. Because he did the last one twice, and I think in his mind, he's like, I have all those, all those I've been everywhere, but he's got to figure it out eventually. Or this is going to be the longest ordeals I've ever seen.
I guess you could say it might become an ordeal.
Ooh.
Phantom punching like a truck. And there's the first Life 2 cast of the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Tent or a cabin here will screw up his heals. Nope, it didn't. Up. All he's got to do is go up here. He went down again.
I'm starting to wonder, is he maybe trying to follow the vanilla path and just forgetting that this ain't vanilla? This is like Rocky Road with a little bit of mint chocolate chip mixed in.
Repeats it. Now, if he goes to the last pillar here, he's got it figured out, I think.
Yeah, he needs to go through that top pillar, and then he goes down one more hallway, and he has it.
Encounters along the way, and it makes it so easy to forget where you're going or what you're doing. The encounters do make it easy to get lost in ordeals. Okay, all right, we're looking good. He's going down the right path. Buddy. Oh, there he goes.
All right, he's good. So meanwhile, Solaris flying through the top part of Temple of Fiends Revisited, he's already a few steps away from the Earth floor. It looks like he's sitting around level 21 or 22 on his party, so he is probably good in terms of experience. Unless there's just something horrible down here, he should be able to pretty much bowl his way through the rest of this game.
Well, if we've got an early nuke positioned on any of the bosses, it could wipe out everybody except the fighter in one shot. And should that happen on an early enough fiend, it might be quite difficult for him to recover from that.
Our restreamer, apparently wanting this match to go for 3 hours, is calling for a Death Touch Chaos. Oh, my bad. Chaos. But, regardless, Solaris is through to the Earth floor after catching an extra encounter there on the ground floor and getting a massive run and running immediately into these mud golems. Who fortunately play nice by just punching him in the face repeatedly.
He's going to take this fight. I'm not sure why.
Your guess is as good as mine. And Rock Golem's packing both Stinger and Scorch.
Well, I mean, neither of those are a real big problem. The problem is he's really having to whittle these guys down.
Yeah, his only real... Oh, that is... I'm not sure I agree with that. I mean, he has to cure that white mage up. That is the only source of life magic that is available to either runner right now. But that's still... Having to use that Cure 4 before you even get to Lich 2 is not ideal.
I couldn't agree more. That was a really poor decision just to take that fight.
Now, I think at first his thinking was just go ahead and take out that Mud Golem with the fighter because your mages are how you're getting out of that, and there's a tornado.
Abilities, which means we could see a nuclear in the next one.
Yeah, except this is still Lich 2.
Fighter there.
Well, this is an unfriendly part of the encounter table.
Run. And when you got a long run, that means there's going to be a part with more encounters. Or has a jacked encounter rate, so every floor from this one on up is slightly higher than the one below it.
Well, either way, after those first couple of encounters, Solaris is pretty much able to just run through the rest of this floor and is on carry 2.
Yeah, and carry 2 doesn't have too much defense. He did a ton of damage there.
Yeah, carry 2, generally one of those bosses that is either, you know, a complete pushover or just turns out to be an absolute nightmare. Like, you very rarely see a carry 2 that's just like, oh, well, this wasn't too bad. Lord of the Synth, meanwhile, is preparing to make that trip into Sea Shrine, which is to be expected since we know that you have to go to Waterfall before you can get into Tiamat's domain.
What Lord of the Synth needs is Solaris to make it all the way to Chaos and lose a long fight to Chaos, and that might give him the right timing to catch up and take the lead here.
He probably would need Solaris to get wiped a second time. He's still 2 Fiend dungeons behind.
Some of these Chaos fights where you have, like, your guy can't be hit by Chaos, and you're doing Bane Sword over and over again, just trying to get a win, and meanwhile you're hoping Chaos doesn't get a crit. And sometimes those fights can go a long time.
So, one thing that I'm pondering is, you know, with the 3-man strategy, how do you shuffle your party around for these? Okay, he's going to bring that ninja online to soak up a hit from Kraken.
Yeah, this is exactly the fight you want to do that for.
I'm not sure I agree with leaving that fighter in the second slot, though.
Yeah.
The
The fighter's the most likely to survive one shot. You don't want to put your white mage in danger.
Yeah, no, I believe most people will put their fighter and their white mage in the back line and, you know, let the more expendable party members eat the hit. And did we just see Bane Sword take out Kraken too?
That was a Bane right there. He used that Bane sword. Kraken never saw it coming. Gorgeous. I love to see it. And it works right off the bat. Now watch when Lord of the Synth finally gets to Kraken. He'll be horrible and have nuke and stuff. And of course, Solaris never saw it.
Well, yeah, no. Anytime someone pulls off that early round instant kill, you know, everything terrible was on whatever they just managed to loop around. It looks like Lord of the Synth did check his inventory and realized he had the slab, so he has fixed that little problem. In terms of not having it translated.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're going to have to see 2 wipes here for this to be competitive, but chaos is certainly possible.
Yeah, I mean, just the other day we saw a double nuke chaos. It might have been last night.
It was last night, and it was awful.
So yeah, it's one of those things. It is not over until chaos is dissolving into pixels. But Lord of the Synth is definitely going to need some help. Excuse me. Is definitely going to need some help to come back in this one. Because Solaris is already to chaos.
All right, everybody. Death Touch Chaos. Get your Bless RNG out there. RNGesus has got to help us.
If this is Death Touch Chaos, you realize we're going to miss every other race tonight, right?
Probably.
Well, it ain't Death
Crack
Touch,
right off the bat.
But that's crack.
That could have wiped 3 out of 4.
Yeah, Solaris did at least get the, whatchamacallit, fast off, I believe, from the Black Mage before said Black Mage fell into the earth. So, plenty of damage to go around. But in any case, yeah, this chaos is not going to last long. Unless it just has something nasty that just takes this fighter out now. But that's not going to be a problem, as SolarysDrix finishes this race with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 9 seconds. So bust out those GGs, folks.
Earned it. He got the Bane strats off on Kraken 2, which was particularly brilliant. And he really raced a great race. He didn't make a lot of mistakes everywhere. I think he would have beaten actually a lot of runners in this race.
And it appears that Lord of the Synth has opted to go ahead and forfeit. But, you know, go ahead and pull those GGs out for him as well, because that was also a, you know, that was as solid a run as you could manage given the circumstances he encountered early on with all those wipes.
Yeah, he definitely had a rough go of it early on. And that big setback is really hard to recover from generally.
All right, it looks like Solaris. Yeah, it looks like Solaris is going to come in, and it looks like Synth is too. So we'll get both of these guys in here for a second to have a little bit of a conversation before we throw y'all over to one of the other races. Howdy, howdy, GG.
Thank you very much.
A nice race, man. I really love the Bane strats.
Well, that's all the thief was good for, was just the Bane sword. So while he was up, you might as well use it.
That was a good idea. He was just there to take a hit against Kraken, and instead he brought Kraken down.
That he did, yeah. I was surprised on that.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, survived the fight with Tiamat to boot.
Yeah, yes, he did. Tiamat just didn't like my fighter, just kept hitting him instead of the ninja.
You really didn't have much trouble in TOFR.
No, I was quite tame compared to the other ones I've been into.
Yeah, well, I mean, having that three-man strat working in your favor probably didn't hurt either. Level 23 is on the high end of what people have finished with in this tournament.
Yeah, I agree. But with me getting those back-to-back 4-peed fights in Fire Cave, that really helped my grinding, so I didn't have to actually grind anywhere.
Yeah, I liked almost every decision you made. The only one that we were kind of scratching our heads about was right before Lich 2, a fight with like 1 mud golem and 3 rock golems that ended up taking a long time and almost killed one of your guys.
Yeah, they were good. They were good experience, but I totally forgot what they had for spells and stuff, and kind of took me for surprise.
Yeah, but you managed to get through it, and probably that little bit of extra experience overall helps you get through the rest of that. I imagine if nothing else, I think out of that you wanted to pick up an extra level on your White Wizard, and that M defense boost may have been the difference between that crack taking out everyone but your Knight against Chaos.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm glad he survived. At least I had one guy with a cure spell just in case he hit like a truck.
Him opening with that crack was kind of scary, but it got pretty easy from there on out.
Yeah, he really didn't have anything too scary besides that crack at the very beginning. Other than that, it was just buff up the Knight and just have him do his thing.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and pull your opponent in here as well so we can have a little bit of a sit down. Hey, Synth, GG.
GG, dude.
GG, Sith.
I'm kind of disappointed with that one.
Or you had a really
troubles.
Oh, he had troubles right off the bat. He got wiped a bunch of times, right, crossing the Bridge of Destiny.
Oh.
Well,
I think it was 15, 16 minutes before I got to Elfland. I was really trying not to burn the house, and eventually I'm like, screw it, get halfway, and then go from there.
Yeah. I ended up doing all that. Every time I got into an encounter going down there, I threw a tent up or whatever I had. I think I had 1 tent, 1 cabin, and 1 house going down there, and I burned all 3 of them going down.
Yeah, what happened to me was I don't know why I bought Lit after buying Quad X, so I only had 1 tent and 1 house.
No.
I mean, honestly, I should have re-rolled that. But by the time I got to Elfland, I'm like, yeah, it's about 20 minutes in. Despite the fact that you're not seeing a lot of good healing magic that Red Mage can learn at the time. I mean, you're kind of pot committed.
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
Did you have a White Mage in your party?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I see decent healing and stuff like Fade often enough, or Harm, that I usually play Red Mages and Thieves. And then I got lost. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's always a risk taking that Red Mage, but it's it's a plus or minus thing. Sometimes it's a great advantage.
I mean, if I'd gotten to Sun Sword sooner, and if I'd remembered to put it on the Red Mage sooner, I might have made up some time. But RNG was not with me, and then I got lost in the maze in Castle of Ordeals. I've never been that lost before, but
we were watching you just struggle through ordeals, and we all know where you made the mistake. So it was really interesting to watch you just try to figure out that you had to go to the very last one and then go up instead of down.
Yeah, in the end, I jotted down a quick map on my notes and went through all the columns again and X'd them out as I went, and that's when I'm like, okay, that's how you get back to that room.
Yeah, it's especially bad getting lost in that setup because, you know, that last pillar in the 4-pillar room, if you lose track of that being where you need to go, it can take you a while to kind of retrace your steps because you gotta go through all the other pillars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ironically, despite the really rough start, I was still ahead of my PB through the first couple fiends.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like, you know, you were making good time in spite of the issues you were having. Like, you persevered through a lot of pretty obnoxious RNG.
Yeah. And also, I mean, once I opened it up, I felt like I was going along at a decent clip, but I knew I was like 15 minutes behind at least by that point.
Yeah, Solaris, you opted to go with the 3-man strat, and that probably also kind of helped your time too, since you didn't have to worry too much about being under-leveled at any given point.
Yeah, well, once that thief died early, I was just like, there's no sense in resing him. We'll just go with the 3 and hope we can do it.
Yeah, so the reason I did not do that was the RNG was so bad in the beginning, and the magic offerings with Red Mage were kind of poor. So I'm like, you need as much firepower as you can get, and maybe you'll get lucky and find Katana somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually Katana in the Sharknado room, so that
I would have gotten that
paid
one.
off. Yeah,
I always check that. I always even check. I take the extra two encounters for the 4th chest.
So do I.
But yeah, I mean, so I'm not unhappy with having persevered with the 4-man team. I think that was the right call in the circumstances that I was in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you know, I would definitely at least play the seed out if I were you, because you'll at least have some fun through the rest of it, especially with having that ninja in tow. Yeah,
did you do class change?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, the tail showed up in ice, and when I was checking that chest in ice, I was like, please be tail, please be tail, please be tail, please be tail. I do not want to find it in the waterfall.
Yeah.
Oh, Synth, that's actually something I was wondering about. You found the adamant in Temple of Fiends northeast, I believe. Was there any thought to walking that out or exiting that out, or, you know, as soon as you saw it, were you just like, I already have Mazmune, I don't need this?
That's basically what I said, because I didn't have tail at that point. So I mean, and you know, I'm not entirely familiar with who can equip the Excalibur, but I think you need Red Wizard for it. And I figured he's got the Sun Sword already. Okay, so it's night only?
It's night only.
Okay, yeah, rather than do some non-traditional Red Mage outfitting for me, I'm like, I've already got the Sun Sword, forget it. I don't want to burn the minute or two required to go turn it in.
Yeah, the 2 weapons that you're looking for a Red Wizard are going to be the Vorpal or the Sun.
Yeah. Did you run across Vorpal?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no, aside from you finding that adamant, Mazmune's the only like major sword y'all found.
I was right. That was in the armory, right?
It was in
No.
Titan's Tunnel.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Titans. Okay, yeah, that's right. Right, because I got wiped in Titan's Tunnel because there was an ogre, which wiped me out, and then I went back in. I'm like, man, that's immune. So okay, yeah, I gotta walk this back out. Fortunately, it's just Titan's Tunnel.
Yeah. But overall, you know, y'all put on an entertaining race, and you know,
Yeah,
trying to think here.
I'm disappointed. I mean, I don't think it was a horrible race. It's just I made a couple of glaring mistakes, and yeah, I mean, there was a lot of RNG that didn't run my way. Getting stuck behind packs of mummies, blasting me with heat for
that
10 to
was
30. Yeah.
Yeah, the main time differences were the ordeals debacle and the deaths on the way to Elfland. Everything else was fairly even in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, that's good to know because I am new to this. This is only my 5th race. I didn't win one until my last one. So, I mean, I'm kind of happy with the way I play a bunch of things. It's just I'm new enough. There's some experiential things that I just haven't entirely picked up yet. Like I forgot the slab again. I did that in one of my previous races. I'm like, don't ever do that again, which is why I don't like going to Melmond Earth first without the slab. But I figured I can just run through and pick up my second orb.
Yeah, you at least remembered it before you got all the way to Lefane, so you're still better.
So I got all the way to Lefane, but I'm like, oh, you forgot the slab, didn't you? So the first thing I did was I talked to the first guy, and then when he said Lupa, I'm like, yeah, reset.
Oh man, I honestly, like, Solaris was already in Temple of Fiends at that point, so I admit I was kind of focusing on that. So I completely missed you getting Lupad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it getting looped, but I think Solaris was like fighting Lich or something, you know. So that's pretty awful.
But on the bright side, that means you probably aren't going to get clipped for it. So, you know, congratulations on that. You managed
come on.
to dodge.
It's fun to get clipped when you forget something silly like that.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know nothing about people forgetting nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess this does mean you two's tournament journey is at an end. So, you know, can we expect to see you guys around for the next major Final Fantasy randomizer to do?
Oh, of course. I'll be around.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys run the league again, I'll join in too.
Awesome, because yeah, you know, both of you guys, you know, even you know, Solaris, I think this is the only race of yours I've gotten to catch, but I've seen a few of your races, Synth. I think I've commentated a couple of them too. And you have shown, you know, for this being your 5th race, you've shown a lot of improvement.
Yeah, it's my 5th race, and I think like my 23rd or 24th seed. I'd have to go count the ROMs in my ROM folder.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Like I really do hope to see you guys in the next league. I'm sure that's going to happen, and you know, beyond that.
Oh, for sure,
so,
I'll be there.
You know, I guess any final takeaways before we let Randomania 3 here kick us over to the Zelda 2 Max Rando finals?
I just want to say good luck to everyone still in it, and yeah, I'll definitely be around for just free games or getting ready for the next tournament or league.
Yeah, I mean, good luck to everyone else. GG Solaris. You know, the reason I signed up for this tournament is like I've wanted to learn the rando for a long time, but there's a learning curve to it, and around like LTDPR and DWR, I didn't really have much time for it. And then the tournament rolled around. So basically it was like, well, I want to learn it. This will make me learn it. So let's just dive in the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, how does it feel kind of picking it up compared to some of the other randos you've worked with?
Well, I mean, so the thing about DWR is you can keep it all in your head. And this you can't. Like, you know, I have maps open, I still have guides open, and there are things I should memorize, like the red mage, red wizard spell availability chart. I might want to memorize those because I waste a fair amount of time being told I can't learn that.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same issue.
But this was, I mean, honestly, this was a pretty welcoming set of flags for people who were completely new to this. So it was fun to play through, even as a semi-casual. If I'm lucky, maybe I'll make the play-in race. If not, you know, I had fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Execution wise, you know, there's a lot of sort of like manual dexterity in LTTPR that, you know, I struggle with from time to time. It's getting used to the speed hack and not overrunning things over and over and over again. That's my really only issue with sort of execution, aside from an occasional bad menu.
Everybody overruns some stuff with these, you know, it's pretty easy to do.
And we just make fun of them every time they land on something they can't land on, you know. So I guess we'll go ahead and clear on out of here so that you know, Randomania can push folks over toward Randomania. If you haven't quite gotten enough of this not LTTR, FFR action.
Yeah, that's my fault. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. Over on Speed Gaming 2 here in a few minutes, we are going to have the last match of this round and the last match of the Swiss phase of this tournament and the last match to determine who will be in that play-in race. It's Jay Coper versus Rumblefish, a.k.a. White Mage is a Guy, and that's going to be on Speed Gaming 2 here in about 5 minutes. Our Tractor Poogle is going to be on the call for that, so if you want more Final Fantasy, that's where you need to head to.
Jay Coper is a good racer. Go watch him.
This is very true, and Rumblefish is not anyone to sneeze at either. He is probably one of the most dogged competitors I've ever seen. So, you know, go check those out. If you've gotten your fill of Final Fantasy for the evening, stick around here, follow the host over to the Zelda 2 Max Rando Finals. Lynn, any final thoughts before we head out?
Oh, thanks for watching, you guys. Great race, Synth and Drix. And thanks for joining us for the whole tournament. It was great to have both you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great to be a part of it.
Yeah, like I say, it's been fun.
And if you guys have any urge to get behind the mic or behind a tracker, you're always welcome. For the love of God, you're always welcome. The play is going to need so many people. Oh, God.
Yeah, now that my tournament is over, I've probably got